We are trying to farm in the image of the forest and remediate the toxins that are polluting our souls and our society and our soil, whether that's chemical leaching in our waterways or white supremacy in our bodies and in our social structures and economy. Silver Run Forest Farm is a riparian nursery growing along a waterway and a folk school rooted in love and living soil. And those roots sprout out in three kind of key ways: is agroforestry, watershed health, and restorative justice. So, agroforestry, we're trying to farm in the image of the forest, and watershed health, we're trying to tend to the place and everything that flows through it, and restorative justice as a way of healing and holding ourselves accountable to growing relationships that provide enough for everybody. So it was really like a desire to care for the place. How do we tend to a watershed through farming as a very tender act of love and of nurture, and then thinking about all the cascading benefits and like multifunctional gifts that come by planting trees. There is something powerful about having my hands in the ground, in the soil, and growing these plants and tending to them, pruning them, propagating them in so many different ways, and also knowing that the use of hands in that way is not possible for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And so I think any good farming is also concerned about the context in which that farming happens. Any good care of soil is also concerned about the watershed and the weather patterns and all those kinds of things that influence how the soil can be built and what can grow there. And so when I think about relationship to food and like our hands involved in it, I also think about needing to change the way that ownership, happens with land. That right now, the way our land is owned concentrates the use of land into fewer and fewer hands. Thinking metaphorically about if we want more people to be involved with farming, if we want more people's hands on the land, then we're going to have to completely change the way that ownership is thought about in this country and how land is distributed and needs to be redistributed. Our economy, our agriculture, our social system has been based on monoculture, has been based on an understanding of just one dominant thing. And that industrial monoculture of our agriculture is based on plantation agriculture and enslaved labor, and we've just learned how to, in our culture, to repeat that. And one of the pieces of wisdom that comes out of paying attention to the land and in old ways of farming, traditional ways of farming, is polyculture, like the ways in which diverse relationships are always mutually supporting and offering aid, and just kind of benefits that you can't even predict that just grow out of that. And it goes back to the context of who's caring for the soil, how that's done, and who's it for.